My next guest is definitely something you would think is for Halloween, but no, that's not the case at all. She actually puts you on the spiritual path, and if you're lucky enough, you can rest assured Heidi will help you pass on messages from your loved ones and give you best of luck for the future. So she's in the studio right now. Heidi, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's very nice to see you again, Chris.
Oh, thanks for popping in. We love having you on the show.
My pleasure.
It's good to have you in. So your first book actually started off as a leaflet, as we were saying before.
That's right.
And
yeah.
What a big leaflet it's turned out to be. So remind us the difference between psychic and mediumship.
Certainly. I think that the basic general rule is that all mediums have psychic ability, but not all psychics are mediums.
Right.
The difference is that a medium is a method of communication, a bit like the very original meaning of the word media.
Okay.
So I'm just like a radio, a bit like what we're doing here today.
Right, okay.
So when someone comes to see me, I'm not summoning spirits to me, I'm just interpreting who's around you.
Yeah.
And translating their messages and their words, their emotions, things they want to pass forward to give you encouragement and love.
It can take a lot out of you at times.
Mm-hmm.
It can be has its good, very good highs, but it has its also bad lows.
That's true. I mean, it's like anything you do in life. Effort equals reward, and I find that the more you put in to the work you're doing, obviously there'll be a downside. You feel tired from it afterwards. What I always explain, though, to people because I'm not very well myself, as we talked about before. Whilst I'm working, it's a little like being plugged into the charger.
Right.
So I don't feel a lack of energy while I'm working because I'm lending energy from all of the lovely energies around me, from the people who are visiting me, both here and otherwise.
Right.
It's when I finish, when I actually wind down and close off, so to speak, and do my final meditations, that I then feel the energy sort of draining away.
Right.
But whilst I'm working, it's wonderful. I'm energized.
Yeah. Now, as you were saying, you're not well. You were ill with cancer, and it was stage 4.
Yes.
So how are you now? More importantly.
Well, I lost all my hair. As you can see, last time I came in, I had long dark hair. Now I'm short and blonde.
You look lovely.
Thank
Fantastic.
you. That's the right answer, Chris.
I've
got a face for radio, they say.
they tell that to me a lot. So we're both on the same page. But no.
Good job, really. I still have stage 4 cancer, but it's being managed very well. I'm now on the chemo. I don't know if I was on chemo last time I saw you or just beginning it.
I can't remember, to be honest.
But it's all being held very well. I think part of it's attitude and part of it's medical. You know, so it's a combination of the two things. The key is that I'm still here fighting strong, and I know it'll never go completely. They've told me that, but I'm fine. I can live with this, and that's the key. Living with it. Yeah.
In the first part of your book, a little boy, I think it was a little boy or girl, came back, and he had just popped in to literally see you, and then he kind of left, and he never came back.
Right. The story with the boy I think you're referring to is the one we had moved house, and he was looking for me.
Yeah.
And he'd been a regular visitor in my old house, and 6 months after we moved in, it was actually my husband who noticed him first, because he opened the bedroom door, and he stuck his head around the door and said, there you are, I've been looking for you.
Wow.
He just needed to know where we were. He didn't have anyone to contact, he just wanted to be recognised, to be validated, and to be seen, you know. That he was happy enough. He wasn't unhappy or miserable. He was in spirit, he was in heaven, whichever word you prefer to use. Yeah. He just wanted a connection, a contact. So that was what so he's fine, he was happy out, but he just wanted to know that we were there, and he found us.
Have you ever seen him since, or is it the case where it might be just one of those things once he knows where you are?
I think it was just that he needed to know. I think I do go through stages when I draw certain types of spirit to me. And at that time, there was a lot of children, and my own children were very young. So I think that mother energy, it permeates through the layers, through the veils. In the second book, I actually invited, via my social media, people to come forward with things they'd really like to know about. And you'll find a lot of the topics within the book, in the second book, Angels at My Table, which is with Book Hub Publishing. They were the questions that have been sent on to me via email or by messages, but people really like to know about. So that's quite nice. So many people buying the book may well find their question in it. Absolutely.
That was the ones in the new book is, can objects be haunted, is one of the things that you cover.
Yes.
Now this is very interesting because I'm sure this was asked to you loads of times. So I suppose without going too much into it, can things be haunted like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's one of the chapters that I actually find very interesting because it's quite a happy time in my childhood as well, because it was when I first discovered I had this gift.
Right.
Everyone has different gifts, and I have a combination of various types of psychic abilities, and one of them is something called psychometry.
Right, okay.
And I hadn't realised I had it until I had an incident in my childhood where I was working in a place called Junk Palace.
Oh, very fancy.
That was a great name, isn't
Oh,
it?
it's fantastic.
I was very little though. It was actually run by my stepfather.
Okay.
And basically what it was a place where people would sell second-hand furniture, because in the 70s they wanted everything new and modern, and actually in the late 60s, 70s, it was, you didn't want old.
Yeah, yeah.
So he realised there was a market for selling these old things. And he'd often leave me to run the place, even though I was little, while he went off on errands, like collecting stuff, delivering stuff, etc. And one day I held an old-fashioned His Master's Voice gramophone.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? The ones with the dog?
Yeah, the record, the old record, yeah.
And every time I put my hands on it, I was suddenly in another room.
Oh, wow.
I was in a parlour with a fire and 2 easy chairs and a piano, and I could hear music. When I took my hands away from it, the music stopped.
Oh, wow.
So it's a bit like a CD. The energy of that well-loved object had been carved into it.
Oh, wow.
And so it held on to it like a residual energy, like a memory. And that's called psychometry. And there's a study of this. People just have this gift as well,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
As a child, I think when you learn through discovery, it's much more organic, and you understand it in a different way.
Now, are you superstitious when it comes to things, as in, like the old tales of a pinch of salt over the shoulder, or maybe a clock falling off the wall? These kind of these so-called signs, would these be true in the same, something similar to that?
I think signs are relevant to the individual and how they're interpreting them.
Okay.
Cultures and different areas of the world, the same sign can mean a totally different thing. A black cat in England is good luck.
Okay.
Yet in other places it's bad luck.
Yeah.
So I think superstition is very personal to how you've been brought up and what's been around you.
Yeah.
I would have learned certain things like salt over my shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the curse and the bad luck as such.
Yeah.
But obviously, having learned that behaviour, I will still go through it. It's just like a natural thing to do.
Yeah, yeah.
I think to some degree you make your own luck.
Okay, fair
I think
enough.
your energy attracts towards you what you're emitting, what you're sending out. And like a magnet, you bring people and events and luck into your life if you really believe it. There's a real draw to your own energy, and that's quite important.
What's heaven like? We were on it earlier, whatever it is. This is a question I'm not surprised you've been asked a lot, because it is a very easy asked question to people. So you've kind of explained a degree about this in the book as well.
I have, yeah. Obviously you'd have to read the book to find the full answer.
Of course.
Again, through book publishing.
Yeah.
I haven't actually been to heaven as a spirit.
Okay.
I have met a lot of spirits who have been to heaven, for want of a better word. I think they have a choice as to whether they spend time on their own or whether they want to be around their loved ones. I think that it's a shame that we don't use the wonderful world we have while we're living in it, because we were given a Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
And it could have been a heaven here if we'd made better use of it. But hey ho, these things happen.
Oh, and yeah.
But I think it's not a fluffy cloud. That's not what I'm giving the impression of. It's more a collective. Your soul doesn't take up the space of a body. So you have a space to go and reflect and be healed and watch over your loved ones, or you can come to earth. I think the choice is theirs.
Yeah, that's probably the fun of it as well. So you never know who you're going to meet, because also you do have an explanation where you were doing a reading. Now it wasn't actually on one of these live shows. It was a normal group reading, and about this person passed you on a bike.
Oh yes, yes. That was that's in the new book.
Yeah.
Some ladies, some lovely ladies came. Actually, they're from Galway. They came
really?
to see me, and I was talking to the first lady because the other sister was waiting in the front room. I obviously stood them separately. And whilst I became very aware of someone being in my hallway, and I asked the spirit, telepathically at first, to come forward and join us on, which she was with the one who was with me. And she said, "No, I'm fine. I'll wait out here." As if as if I was talking to you now. So
yeah.
I said, "Okay, fine." No problem. So I kind of carried on with the reading, and when the other lady went back to join her sister in the front room, I waited a few minutes. I was closed down and prayed for the next person for healing and guidance. As I walked out to the hallway, this spirit lady whizzed past me on her bicycle.
Oh wow!
And smiled back at me with this really cheeky grin. She said, "Will you tell them that Ellen says hello?"
Yeah.
So as surprised as I was, you know, because I mean, I'm used to these strange phenomena anyway, but that's surprising even for me. It's a bit wacky. So I went to the front room and I said, I'm sorry girls, I have to ask you, who is Ellen? And why would she be cycling up my hallway? And both of them, their jaws kind of dropped and looked at me and said, well, actually Ellen was our grandmother and she passed away by falling off a bicycle.
Oh wow, so the connection.
So they knew who she was immediately.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, you couldn't get a more
strong,
straight-on validation for them.
It doesn't matter what your whole religion is really either. I know you've explained that before, that it doesn't matter what religion you come from or where you're from, it's all the same.
For me, my experience has been exactly that. It's a great leveler. You know, we all come in and we all go out the same way. What we choose to do with our lives is completely up to us, and also to do with our cultural and our, you know, our ethnical backgrounds and what we're brought up into, as we have certain biases. But I have seen Hindus and Muslims alike. You know, as
all nationalities.
Exactly, it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
Spirit just recognises love, you know, and most people around the world, whatever their discipline is of religion, love their family, want to support and encourage them and make sure they're all right after they pass. And that's something that's quite universal. It goes beyond religion. Love is the main thing.
Yeah, love conquers all, as the Jews say.
It goes through every religion. So.
Yeah. Now, what would you recommend to do after someone that's been to see you or be at a show?
I think a really good thing to do after you've been to a show or been in a one-to-one, if something has really resonated with you personally, take some time out. Perhaps write it down, perhaps just think on it and spend some time adjusting to how you feel about that new information.
Yeah.
The body goes, but your relationship with your loved one hasn't changed. It's still continue. I often say that to people, it's so true. And that's, for many people, the first indication they have of that being a case. They haven't ever experienced that before. So you've got this brand new opportunity to know that they're still with you.
Yeah.
The more you trust the signs for yourself, that you recognise a difference between an ordinary event and a sign, the better you get at it. It's like practicing anything. You become more aware, your awareness of that particular signal becomes heightened, whether it's feathers, whether it's music, whether it's, you know, a sound, whatever it is, smell of tobacco.
Right.
We all have unique ways of understanding, and our spirit has unique ways of transmitting their message to you.
Right.
Don't worry too much about it. They will find a way to let you know if you need it.
Yeah, and it'll eventually become
almost like second nature.
Yeah, you'll realise.
Have detailed conversations. Everyone has different gifts, and don't be so hard on yourself. The peace should come from just knowing they're trying.
Yeah, that's true.
There's so much of a message in that. Is the feeling is better than 100 conversations sometimes. Just knowing they're there. It's important to understand that the answer I'm giving is not, you know, from everybody. This is my view. This is how I've discovered it through my lifetime of being a natural born medium. This is my point of view. You may see it slightly differently, but it's a starting point.
Yeah.
And that's the key. Find your own way. Everyone's different. Everyone's unique and wonderfully different, actually. Yeah. Find your own way, and that's the point. They will find a way to let you know they're there.
Right. I just want to quickly ask, when you do the house calls, stuff like that, do you I know sometimes you get positive and you can sometimes get negative also. Is there a way that you deal with this, or do you have to kind of welcome both sides?
You mean negative spirit, or?
Yeah, negative energies.
That's again in the new book, so
right, okay.
You'll enjoy that chapter.
Okay.
I'm far more concerned about negative energies in physical people than I am in spirit. There are obviously going to be negative energies. In general, because I'm pretty good at this stage after, you know, getting to my ripe old age, at protecting myself.
Yeah.
I tend not to welcome the more negative energies, so they very rarely slip through. When I was younger, I had more difficulty controlling it.
Ah, okay.
And I would be a little frightened, but I knew I was well protected by my grandmother on me. She was very good.
And now, if the first and second book and the guest appearance isn't enough, you have a third book.
I know. This is all brand new. We're just discussing the next book.
Okay.
It's slightly different variation on the theme, still about my life as a medium.
Okay.
But it's actually very interesting from the point of view. It's got the feedback and the interviews from people who've had readings with me.
Oh, okay.
So each chapter will be 2 parts. The first part will be their story of when they came to me, most of whom, as you know, had never met you before because you've been yourself.
Yeah.
What their expectations were, what they were looking for, who they were hoping to reach,
Yeah.
all of those things. And usually they probably only gave me their first name when they made the appointment.
Okay, yeah.
That's the norm. As
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So it'll be an interview by a third party. I won't be doing that part. I'll be talking to them after their readings and going back to them and seeing how they felt on that. My response will be the second part of the chapter, what I encountered, how their loved ones presented to me, who they were. So from the reader's point of view, you're getting to see both sides of the coin.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's
So
actually...
it's a really interesting
It is, yeah.
twist on it.
Like what you've heard here, well, check out more interviews on, of course, my Mixcloud account, Chris Sherlock Show. And if you want to find out more, you can find me on Facebook simply by searching Chris Sherlock on the wireless.